I'm calling to order the meeting of the Maple Run Board on March 15th at 6:03 p.m. There are 9 members present, 8.5 votes. And I thought I'd start with introductions. We have some new folks here at the table. And I thought I would include Aaron and John as well, and might as well Mike and Martha that are here, just because we're all pretty much regular attendees. So I would start with board members. Maybe Jack, you can start. We'll go to the Zoom board members in a minute, but Jack, maybe you could start here at the table and we'll work our way around this way.
Okay, I'm Jack McCarthy, entering my third term on the board.
And you represent?
And I represent the town, St. Albans town.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm Charlie Brooks. I represent the city. This is my first meeting post being elected, so I've filled in for a couple meetings prior to this, but this is my first one as an actual real boy, essentially.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hi, I'm Amanda Juru. I represent St. Albans Town, and this is my first meeting on the board.
Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you.
I am Suzanne Kenyon. I represent the city, and this is, I think, my third meeting and my first term.
Welcome, Susan.
Dana Hunsaker, representing the town. I think this is my 11th year, 12th year, something like that. I'm still here.
Welcome, Nina.
My name's Joanna Gerose. I represent Fairfield, and I don't know. It's my second term.
Second year.
Second year, I think. 4 years. Not good with dates.
Welcome, Joanna.
My name's Leah Fitzgerald. I'm a BFA student representative, and I think this is second year for me.
Hey, welcome. You started last year.
I'm Martha Gagne, the business manager for Maplewood.
I should have ended with that.
Far too.
Yeah.
Mike Campbell, teacher up at BFA.
And Aaron and John, if you could just introduce yourselves.
I'm Aaron Smith. I am the board secretary and also executive assistant to the superintendent.
I'm John Muldoon. I'm the assistant superintendent for Maple Run.
Thank you. And then Nilda, then Katie, then Peter. So we'll start with Nilda.
Hi, I'm Nilda Ganella French, and I'm a rep from St. Albans City.
Katie?
Hi, Katie Messier. I am currently going into my third year, and I represent the town.
Thank you, Katie. Welcome. Peter?
Thank you.
Good evening. Peter Deloria, and I represent St. Albans City.
Thank you, Peter, and welcome. Before we get going, I'm going to skip over the agenda review and go to the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get to the first task at hand. There's a flag over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. My one task tonight is to elect a chair for the Maple Run Board for this year. Welcome, Susan. As you get yourself seated, would you like to introduce yourself before I get into this task? We just did introductions with everybody.
I'm Susan Casanet-Magnan.
Representing
Fairfield.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to open up the floor for nominations for chair.
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Nilda Ganella French as board chair.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Can I have a motion to cease nominations?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of ceasing nominations, please signify by... We're going to have to do a roll call, sorry.
Yep.
I didn't make myself a little list. I should have. I think I can do it.
Sure?
Yes. Jack?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Nilda?
My pleasure, yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Katie?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to do another roll call vote for all those in favor of Nilda Ganella French serving as your chair for this next year. And I'll do the same order again. Jack?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Nilda?
Still my pleasure, yes.
Peter?
Yes, and thank you, Nilda.
And Katie?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Nilda. She will be your chair for next year, and I'm glad to succeed to, sorry. Hand this over, that's a better word. I was looking for a different word, but I can't pronounce it right now. Hand it over to Nilda to have the rest of the process go forward.
Thank you. And thank you all for trusting in me for one more year. Next item on the agenda, we're going to flip backwards here a second and just do the agenda review. I believe there's no changes to the agenda. The only item I'd like to point out is under old business 8B, there is a negotiations update, and I believe we'll have to do that in executive session, since doing it in public session would provide both the board and the association leave us both at it's the word I'm looking for.
Compromise the negotiation.
Compromise position. So that'll come up a little bit later. And the next item is to elect all the other people that we have to elect, and accept all the other things that we have to accept. So I'm just going to go down the list. I would like to take motions for vice chair, please. I'd like to nominate Susan Casavant-Magnan.
I'll second that, Nilda.
Thank you. Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, we'll cease nominations and instruct the secretary to cast one vote for Susan Casavant-Magnan as chair, vice chair. Thank you. So I don't think we have to do the roll on that, right?
That's correct. I kept doing it just out of formality, but.
That's okay. Just checking. Okay, next item on the agenda is to elect a board clerk.
Sure. Yeah. What do you think? Nilda, can I ask, can you just restate what the clerk does?
So the clerk is responsible for taking any notes that occur when there's not a person there, like we go into executive session and we come back out of executive session, that clerk needs to sign off on the end of the notes, minutes, I guess it's called. And then there are a few other things along the way that come up that just state that the board clerk has to sign it. And I can't think of them off the top of my head. Bill, do you?
Usually they have to do with financial matters that require the clerk to sign, because the clerk is the one that is the keeper of the records. But Martha does that, and our other folks in the office so well. Martha, can you think of anything else?
No, that's typically.
Yeah.
Typically it's a couple, it doesn't happen every time that we need that person. And it's usually a couple of sentences that person just writes up to tidy up the minutes at the end.
And usually Aaron's here, so.
Yeah. So do we have a nominee for board clerk?
I was gonna nominate Joanne DeRose.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Sorry. Joanna, I know that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations for board clerk? Hearing none, instruct the secretary to cast one vote for Joanna DeRose as the board clerk. Thank you. Next item is Collins Pearly board rep. So we need to elect a person from the MRUSD board that sits on the Collins Pearly board for their meetings and represents our interest in that sector. Just for the record, Al Corey did it for a gazillion years. And they do meet pretty regularly, and they're a pretty active board. So and I think they meet at 7 o'clock in the morning, right, Bill?
They meet at the third Tuesday, 7 in the morning at Collins Pearly. almost monthly, but not quite.
Okay,
And
So-
myself and Brett Blanchard are there as well.
thank you. So it's a bit of a commitment, but it's an important position. Is there a nomination for Collins Pearly Board Rep? Okay.
Is anybody interested? Well, Nelda, can I ask if anybody's interested? Can I?
Sure, go ahead and ask.
Anybody interested?
We may just
I was
not
gonna
know that
nominate
you're-
you, Jack, but I wasn't gonna.
Being
speak.
retired, I could probably do
You
that.
get up
if
that early?
Anyone else?
It's up to you.
do that.
Does anybody else have any interest? Not that I'm. Okay, I'll nominate Jack McCarthy.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any other nominees for Collins Pearly Board Rep? Hearing none, I'd like to instruct the secretary to cast one vote for Jack McCarthy as Collins Pearly Board Rep. Thank you. All right, so we have professional staff negotiations teams. Those are usually developed as needed, and right now we have the professional staff team in place and we have the support staff team in place. There might be a required change coming up in the near future, and when that happens, we'll be reaching out to try to find an additional person to serve on the professional staff negotiations team. But for now, I think we can leave it, and I will probably approach some of you individually to see if you're interested. Just to, it takes a little while to kind of explain what that is like and what the commitment would be. Does that work for everyone, or is there someone that's interested that knows they're interested right now? Okay, let's hold on that one and we'll tackle that later. I need a motion to authorize the board chair to sign contracts and the vice chair to sign them in the chair's absence, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we need to take a roll vote. For those that may not know, because we're in a hybrid situation where we have some people present in the room and some people remotely, we have to take a individual roll vote for the record. So Katie.
Yes.
Thank you. Jack.
Yes.
Joanna.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Suzanne.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Nina.
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Motion carries. We also need a motion to authorize checking account signatures. Currently it's Bill Kimball and Aaron Smith, so I'd like a motion to authorize both Bill Kimball and Aaron Smith as checking account signatures as backup for the treasurer.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of Bill Kimball and Aaron Smith being the checking account signatures, please answer yes when I ask you. And it is Katie.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Joanna.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Suzanne.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Nina.
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Okay, so the next items are, I think, items that we might be able to do them in one big summary, but
I just want to ask one question, Nilda, of that. I think we can, but there's one, I want to look at my colleague, Martha, to make sure do we need a separate one for the grants, or can that be all wound within this?
I think that's a separate letter, but I think if you just indicate that your grants are on the back page.
They're on the back page, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that one needs to be separate, or can they
No,
just
I think
include it in
you
everything?
Include it in the whole.
Okay.
list.
I think you're good, Nilda, with where you're going. I just wanted to make sure before you did it.
okay. And I'm just doing it for efficiency, and
Right.
the minutes can reflect that we manage them individually if that's important. But, all right. So.
And then can I ask you one question before you go to your vote? Just
Sure.
about the meetings, the meeting schedules on here, and we can tackle that at a later date. Because I think the first and third is what we regularly do on Wednesdays.
Right. Right.
And I'll just follow
Okay.
your pleasure on that.
All right. So we're going to vote en masse for the following things. Authorizing the following to sign other contracts and awards bids less than $40,000. Superintendent, assistant superintendent, principal and directors, business managers, and the assistant business manager for purchase orders only. Authorize the following hiring and terminating process. Administrators and superintendents recommend to the board for approval. Teachers and professional staff, principals recommend to superintendent for approval, FYI to the board. Authorize the following truant officers. These are designated for each school. So BFA is Heather Fitzgibbons. Fairfield Central School is Kelsey Malabov. St. Albans City School is Stacy Rouleau. And St. Albans Town Educational Center is Angela Stebbins. Want to approve the regular board meeting time. So right now we're set to meet the first and third Wednesday of each month, except for July and August, which is just one meeting a month for those months, and that's the third Wednesday. We're going, I need to get a motion to approve the MRUSD designated newspaper as the St. Albans Messenger. I need to authorize a person responsible for taking minutes and getting them to the central office for posting. This is currently Aaron Smith. If he's not available, central office usually finds a substitute. Authorized to use the following methods for posting for special meetings. So they get posted in the following places: central office, St. Albans City Clerk, St. Albans City School, BFA St. Albans Town Clerk, St. Albans Town Educational Center, Collins Purley, Fairfield Clerk, Fairfield Library, and Fairfield Center School. Authorize the following procedure for handling director's orders. And those are the warrants that we sign at each meeting. So the process is the central office prepares and reviews warrants weekly. Central office prepares the checks. The school treasurer signs the checks. The central office mails the checks. And then the full board review and vote and to approve and sign at each meeting that they're available for.
What do you do?
Next item is need a motion to authorize the following procedure to approve purchase orders, notwithstanding the bid and contract requirements specified by law. Authority to issue purchase orders is as follows. $0 in school and SD. SD? Who's
School
SD?
district. School district.
Okay, thank you.
School administration.
School district and school administration when the cost is $25,000 or less. Superintendent or central office designee when the cost is over $25,000 but less than the 15 VSA SS paragraph 55 threshold currently at $40,000. Central office designee with school district board approval when the cost is equal to or above $40,000. And a note here is that the amounts above relate to cost. For example, the total cost of a 2-year lease at $21,000 per year would be $42,000, requiring the school board approval. However, the total cost of a $21,000 contract with an option year for renewal would be $21,000, so therefore would not need school board approval. It would go in the next class. And then authorize additional grants up to and including $1,000 approved by administration. Grants above $1,000 board to as part of the agenda. So let me read that again. Authorize additional grants up to and including $1,000 approved by administrators. Grants above $1,000 approved by board as part of a consent agenda. And then authorize the following procedure for field trips. Principals always pre-approve field trips, and for any out-of-country field trips, the superintendent also needs to approve and FYI to the board. So I read you all those motions that I was looking for. Would someone be willing to make a motion to include all of those, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or any questions about those motions? Hearing none, I'm going to take a roll vote. Katie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Thank you all for that. That was fairly efficient. That was board reorg B.
Yeah.
So board reorg C is the code of ethics. So attached in your packet, it's attachment 4C, is the board of ethics that we, the code of ethics that we get. Usually it's from the Vermont School Board Association, and that's what it is in this case. And it's for school board members to sign. So we're recommending that a motion, well, administration is recommending. So I want a motion to accept the code of ethics, acknowledging that passage of this motion will require an individual board member's signature on the document. Can I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Everybody, did everybody see the code of ethics in the packet? Does anyone need it read or anything? Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? So just for the record, we really do want an individual signed copy. So for those of you that are remote tonight, the next time you're in the building, somebody will probably present it to you to sign. So we'll have that on the record. All in favor of accepting the code of ethics as indicated in the packet? Katie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Nilda? Yes. All right. Thank you. Got all that business done in good time. Next item on the agenda is the visitor section. First of all, are there any visitors in the room, you folks?
No
Is
visitor.
that a no?
No.
No visitors? Okay, John, are there any visitors remotely that wish to speak? If you wish to speak, you should sign your name into the Zoom chat.
We do have one visitor so far, Dr. Jen Williamson.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Just Dr. Williamson so far.
All right, thank you. So the visitors is the public comment visitor section of the meeting is an opportunity for community members to address issues of concern about policy, budget, or administration matters, or to share ideas about how we can work together to improve our schools. We value input and respect divergent views. We ask you to limit your remarks to 2 minutes per topic and refrain from airing grievances with individual members of the school community, including respecting the privacy of the students and the parents. So we have one speaker, Dr. Williamson, if you could please state your name and where you live, city, town, or Fairfield, and what your comments are, please.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jen Williamson, she, her. I live in the town of St. Albans and my son attends State Tech. I just wanted to personally invite you to the event that we came up with the Community Conversations Organizing Committee. We came up with a date and a location and all of that. So on April 15th, we will be having, let me find the official name, our students, our community, our future, a community conversation that includes all residents, students, families, educators, and community leaders. And it's from 9 o'clock to 2:30 in the afternoon. And we would appreciate an RSVP. You can RSVP by calling Erin, who works for MRUSD, and I don't want to butcher her last name, Erin Rochelo. But she will be taking RSVPs, and we would like to see you all there to participate in this equity summit that we developed.
Thank you.
Michelle Patnode would also like to speak.
Okay.
Hello there, Michelle Patnode, Fairfield. I just wanted to ask if we've thought about snow days. I know on our school calendar, we have 177 student days built in, and in the state of Vermont, we need 175 student days. So I was hoping that the board would consider taking those 2 extra student days and using them as staff professional development days at the end of the school year. So that way our students don't have to make them up and we're still in compliance. Another thing we could do to alleviate one of the student days is there is an in-service day next week for staff. We could potentially have students do half a day and have teachers do the other half as in-service, and that would alleviate another snow day.
Thank you for your input. I can certainly let you know that many of the things that you stated are under consideration already. So
thanks so much.
Sure.
Nilda, there's a question from the board.
Okay, question. Yes. Joanna?
Bill, you put an email out about the community forum, and it says the 16th.
So since that email,
Okay.
which is a little old.
She was just asking.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
changed to the 15th
Okay,
as of
perfect.
last week.
Thank
So,
you very much.
Yeah, no, Dr. Williamson's right on point.
Excellent.
So-
Thank you.
And Bill, did the location also change?
It did. It's going to be at BFA.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So I was going to talk a little bit more in the in our implicit bias and anti-racism pieces there about
Okay.
that, but glad.
We'll wait for that.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say than that.
Thank you.
Okay. Susan, did you have a question?
Yeah, it was about the location, but Bill just said it was at BFA.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions in the visitor section? Hearing none, I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. You have 2 things in the consent agenda, the minutes from 1, 2, 3 meetings, and also the media packet. Does anyone need to pull any of these things for discussion? Hearing none, we're going to accept the consent agenda as submitted. Next item on the agenda is the report to the board, and I think the student rep is here, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill to intro that.
I would just introduce Leah Fitzgerald, so.
Okay, I couldn't remember which student it was.
No, you're good. It's just me today, but that's okay. You're so welcome.
Not just.
No, not just. I am here. So I know it's been a while since we have been here since we missed last time, so we have a lot to catch up on. I think I want to start with saying thank you to NCTC for inviting us to the legislative breakfast, I think that some of us were invited to. So we got the opportunity as all 6 of the students that are in this group got to go and talk to some of the Vermont legislature, which was really amazing to talk about, school and the workforce. And it also focused a lot about tech, and I have the privilege of being in the tech center as well as 2 other of the students. So that's 3 students that were able to kind of talk about their experience, and I have nothing but great things to say about the tech center. I do love it, and I was able to share that, which was really great and really fun for everybody to have a comment, which, yeah. So, again, thank you. Leanne, I can see you. Say hi. Thank you. Then that same week, we met with Up for Learning, which we talked to this group about a bit, saying that we were having a, not a program, but doing a work session, I guess, within the school. So that went really well for our group as well, and we focused a lot on the goals, the hopes and dreams, and also kind of the fears of what we have for this group. And not only is it the students that serve on the school board, but behind the scenes of there's 3 other students you guys haven't met that are also on the board. So we all got to meet and talk and kind of revamp what this group is. And like you were talking about, Peter, it's not giving updates about what's going on at BFA and what sports team won this time. It's more how can we create change, how can we empower students, and I think we're all know what we're trying to get for our goal here is to create something much more broader than what we know. And in doing that, we have also started our enrichment programs, which are going really well, I think. I got to go around, I get to see the students that sign up for these enrichment programs, which are during our free block. Today, actually, we had Adam Parent from the complex come down and run. We have the gym at the school, so he was able to run a fitness and oversee that, and we're trying to get spin classes at the complex or yoga instructors to come in, and of course kind of fund that through our grant, but also back into the community on where we can create more enriching programs. So we're really excited about that, continuing doing that throughout the year. And then last thing, we met with the Creative Discourse group. Our group is trying to brainstorm how can we continue getting students' voices out, and how can we funnel empowering students to come and talk at this summit. Yeah, so amongst other things, that is what we are doing.
Thank you, Leah. Anyone have any questions for Leah? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on to old business. And first item is implicit bias and anti-racism training. And as Bill mentioned before, you can update us.
So the first one, I think Dr. Williamson and Leah did a nice job of updating us on and Dr. Williamson, I may need your help again, just making sure I have the right name of the group. I know they self-titled the name of the group organizing it. Do you remember can you give that to me again, Dr. Williamson?
I can. Hold on 1 second. Let me get back there.
Okay. While she's doing that, it's on April 15th from 9 to 2:30. We invite everyone to be there. Formal announcements will be going out this week. I know Aaron Rushlow is working on that. Interrupt me when you have it, Dr. Williamson. I'm just kind of going. Okay, what was the name of the group? How'd they self-title? I wasn't there last time, so I don't have top.
Our community, our students, our future, creating opportunities and reducing barriers for all students.
Yep. As you may remember from other board meetings, there were 5 themes that came out of our listening sessions with over 60 community members and over 120 students from across Maple Run. The students, when I was working with Leah this afternoon, we were talking about how the students were basically 2/3 of the voices, which is great. They're really the consumers of our work, and they know best. And actually, research shows that students know better than anyone else in how we're doing in schools. And that educational research is really clear on that. So that's something we'd like everyone to come to, because that work is going to inform the goals committee. So the goals subcommittee right now is on pause, waiting for that, because they have some pieces that they've looked at from that community feedback, but really want to make sure we include the feedback we get from this summit. And then use those goals to be recommended to you as a board for adoption, and once the board adopts goals, my recommendation is that you task the leadership team to develop a strategic plan for 3 to 5 years to really work on that and bring that back to you and present it. So I know it's been a long road, but we're really on that. And I think we're getting closer and closer. And I think having the community engagement the way we've done it is a really positive thing and makes a very, very stable plan and one that has a great foundation. The next piece I want to update you on is Jack and I had the chance to join the Hate Crimes and Bias Incidents Forum that was hosted by the Attorney General Monday night at BFA. There were other folks there, other city leaders. Representative McCarthy was there. There were other members of the community, and then several members of the state's attorneys, Vermont Attorney General's office, and the federal Attorney General's, state's attorney, not state's attorney, but federal attorney's office out of Burlington. And so there's a great discussion about, and I thought there was a great pyramid that talked about, while there are things that may cause hate in the community, not all of them are illegal. And that the Attorney General's office doesn't just work on the unlawful acts of hate, but also works on ways of reducing the, I hate to use this word, but it's the way it's said in legal terms, the lawful hates that are allowed. So when someone calls someone a disparaging remark, it's not unlawful, but it's harmful to the community. And I thought they did a really nice job of presenting that. And Jack, I don't know if you had, what else you took from that forum, but.
Well, I was impressed with the police chief.
Yeah.
And the other officer that was there. They explained how they're really working hard with different agencies in the community. And there were online, there were a couple community folks who work with the incarcerated folks who were coming out of prison.
Yeah.
And being interfaced back into the community.
Yeah.
But it was a great learning evening for me, even though I've been involved in that kind of thing for a long time. I thought it made our community look good.
I thought it did
we
too.
All worked together, and Dr. Jen Williamson was there, and she talked about how she is working people that put up ugly stickers and posts and that are not illegal, but they're insulting and harmful, and how they're making a map and a date. Like, where was this poster? What date was it? So that there's a picture over time of how many of these ugly, insulting postings, anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, all kinds of ugliness that's out there. A few community members were questioning, gosh, does this really happen in our community? And by making this mapping of things that have happened over time, will kind of show what we're dealing with. Yeah. And the bottom line is, and some of it, as my son Mike explained, it's a recruitment tool for white supremacists. And the poster might look nice with the flag and, being patriotic and all this. And then when you go to the website, it's, getting into some really deep, awful things that kind of recruit people that are maybe looking for something to be involved with, but it's really the wrong thing. So our community needs to be aware. We need to look out for that kind of thing. Probably a major part of it was all the law enforcement people and the attorney generals from both Vermont and the feds talking about, if you have an issue, if you see hate in your community, this is where you go. And they had these posters explaining how you present some type of complaint, where you go, who do you talk to, don't just hold it in. It may not be that they can solve every problem, but they want to know about it, so that perhaps they can.
I thought it was interesting how one of the assistant state's attorneys general who was there said that they're interfacing with all these mapping projects all over Vermont to make a Vermont map of where it's happening.
Yeah.
And, we're not the only community that has the issue, and we're not the only community where mapping's happening. But that is helping, especially the federal attorney general really said it's really helping her work. And when as they said, it's not unlawful, but it's also knowing where the work is. And I thought the chief spoke really eloquently of that in his work here in St. Albans City. So
Yeah, that was good. He did a really nice
yeah,
job.
really, really well. It was a great event. So
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
yeah.
Next item is negotiations update. So I didn't mention this earlier, but I was thinking that it might be advantageous for us to move this to the end of the meeting and handle the rest of the stuff. If there's no objection from the board, it will be a little smoother to go into executive session at the end of the meeting and then come back in. Any objections? Hearing none, I would like to request that we move negotiations to the executive session to the end of the agenda. And the reason we're going into executive session is because we need to discuss situations and information that would put both the association and the board at a disadvantage. So we do that in executive session. So next item is item 8, new business, vote results discussion. You have that attachment 9A, and Bill's gonna essentially sum that up for us.
Yeah, we had 2,158 voters that cast votes in the election. I'm not going to go down through every one. I didn't ask Aaron to go back and look, but I think this is probably one of our most positive results since Maple Run. It is. I'm getting what? Yeah, I believe so. That the budget votes voted with the widest margin that we've had yet. And this is our 6th budget, I believe. So, as you can see in your attachment, everything passed resoundingly. People were elected resoundingly. So, I think you can see that in the results. If there are any questions or any information you need that we didn't provide there, be glad to do it. Charlie.
Yeah, I just have a question. We have 2,158 votes. Do we have any idea as to what that represents turnout-wise, as comparing it to eligible votes?
I could get that for you. I'd have to get the electric count, unless Aaron, you have that off the top of your head. But we could ask the clerks and.
I would be interested just for my curiosity.
We can do that. Yep.
Sometimes that's in the paper too. I didn't see it, but thank you. The other item on the agenda is the DLO District Liaison Officer data framing. So what we're doing is putting this on the agenda so we can hear from the board as to what information they'd like to have on this report. Usually the report is brought up at a March meeting. It's going to be a March report, but it's going to come at the next meeting, which will be the April meeting. So we'd like you to share information. Bill, you want to add to that, please?
Thank you, Nilda. So at the December 21st meeting, one of the things I summed up at the end of a long discussion was that I would go through the memorandum of understanding and look through it and say what would be the evidence and what would it call for reports. That I'm really summarizing like an hour's worth of discussion into 2 minutes, so I'm not probably doing it justice. And when I said that, I felt like I had consensus from the board to go and do that. I should have brought this earlier. I'm bringing it now. What I did was go through the MOU and looked at all the goals. The MOU was developed by the board. So I put in the packet a form that we would go and fill out, and a lot of it will be narrative. It won't be it's not a lot of quantitative. It's a lot of qualitative that I would work with the leadership team to pull together from, and what we know. Some of it is, and these are all the different sections of MOU, we had public safety, we had district capacity building, student engagement, and student discipline. And we would let you know, some of it will be as simple as, if I were under the district capacity building, strengthening cooperation, collaboration, communication between school district and police department leadership around emergency preparedness. And I would say, yes, that happens monthly at our district meetings and how that happens. So we would give you that evidence and then say where we think that is. So I kind of developed this form to be able to give the evidence and then any discussion that we have behind it as a leadership team, and we'd have that filled out for you at the next meeting. The other thing that was added, that was a ask at that meeting, was to know more about the BFA school safety workers. And working with Principal Blanchard, we were talking about this today. We're going to go back and look at some of what we wrote up for the safety workers. We just didn't have that at hand when this was created. I created this on Monday, so in preparation for the meeting. So be glad to add other things, but that was kind of the sum up. I think you and I were sitting right next to each other. I mean, almost just like this, and I remember that kind of being the sum up from that meeting.
Does that work for everyone? Yes.
I just have a quick question. Is that when we're going to be able to discuss more about, what we're thinking with the program, if we think that there needs to be changes or reviewing, is that when that's all going to be able to come up?
I think it could be. I think the first step would be to look at the data and see if there's anything that concerns us, right, from a safety perspective. And if there is, what's working, kind of one of those, what's working, what's not working, what should we change to make things go? At least that's my opinion, Bill. I don't know if you agree with me there or if that is how you see it also.
It's the process we're using with leadership team right now as we adjust our yearly plan. We're just finishing the data review of this past year to say, how do we create the plan for next year? So, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like a gap analysis. Find out what you wanted and see what you're missing and try to fill it in. All right, that's the DLO discussion. So next item is retreat day. So our board typically holds an annual retreat. It's usually facilitated by an external person. And we've done them in the past in the fall, but this time we thought we could do them in August because part of the process is setting board priorities and also, board dynamics, how we all play in the sandbox together, for lack of a better term, and sort of general, rules on how we collaborate, how we work together, that sort of thing. And then it's usually educational too, where the external person is usually someone who has some background in facilitating meetings, and we find someone who is focused on the topic. Usually in the past, we've had a couple of former superintendents or former principals, not from this area necessarily, who have done quite well with the group. So I think, was Aaron going to send out a Google?
Well, that's why I wanted to talk about, Nilda. You and I talked about checking with everybody because the conversation that happened in the past couple of months was trying to move that earlier to April or May because we're in the new board year. The board year is from town meeting to town meeting. And seeing if folks, we could send out a doodle poll and say, when could folks meet? And it's usually 2-3 hours. I have a couple people in mind, and Nilda and I have talked about that a little bit. I haven't done any of the contact yet, Nilda, to see if this board's pleasure is to do that. Then Aaron and I would, mainly Aaron. I gotta say, whenever you hear me say it, assume Aaron's doing 95% of it, okay? Or John.
100%.
100%. Yeah, well, he likes to think that, so so unless it's financial, then you know who really is doing it. Martha, right. So with all that, what I would do is if this board were interested in having in April and May, I'd start to look for people, get some dates, come back to you, and we do a doodle poll and do all the 9 yards, and I just try to have something by the end of May. Is that the pleasure of this group?
Just to add something, I kind of misspoke and said that we wanted to have it in August. What we really want to do is not have it in August, have it before
Yeah.
August. It's usually about 3 hours, right? By the time we get going, we've had it,
Yeah.
5 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock. There's usually, some sort of quick meal, like a sandwich or something provided. How about a doodle poll? Does anyone know what that is? You sort of get an email saying which of these dates work for you, and you check off in the thing that you've been sent what dates work, what dates don't work, and then Erin will go through and figure out what date works for everyone or the majority of people, and then we try to work through the details of that. So does that work for everyone to do it that way?
Nilda, Joanna has.
Yeah, for sure, yes, but not, yes. My question to you is that, so after we have the forum.
Yeah.
Then we'll be looking at that information, and then in this April, or I want to make sure that we have all the information that we need.
Yeah,
so
good
then
point.
You know what I'm about to say,
I know
right?
where you're going.
Is everybody,
You
can
and
we
I
say
are on
it
the
together?
you and I are in agreement on this. It's, yeah. So let me just give you a little timeline around the goals
that's all
committee.
I'm saying.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is the group that's working with Creative Discourse, the organizing committee is going to take all that feedback that they get on the 15th. They're going to put something together. So it's probably going to be beginning to middle of May to come back to this board with a recommendation.
Which is fine. I'm just saying that I think that we would want that information
Yeah.
before we had our board retreat,
Yeah.
so then we could identify some goals. Yeah. That's all.
So let me work with Sue McCormick, who's helping lead this, and say what her timeline she thinks is.
Perfect.
Okay. A good point.
That's good. Good point, Joanna. It doesn't preclude us from picking a date, though, even though we know that some information will be coming to us before the Thank you.
Just a little organization. We can do it.
All right. Next item is the FY23 school calendar. You have attached at 9D. And the big question, how the end of the year will look. And I'm going to turn that 100% over to Bill.
You sure you don't want to take it, Nilda?
Not even, and not in your life.
Leah should decide.
Leah should decide?
Leah should decide. Yeah. Let that group figure it out.
Yeah, right. Well, I know where they would go, and I probably agree with them. So, she left. So I was trying to remember who the public was here, who made the comment. Was it?
Michelle Patnode.
Michelle Patnode, yeah. I was coming, she stole my thunder, which was great. So right now, we are prepped to end school on June 22nd. Juneteenth is a federal holiday, which is a Monday, so that means that we would be here on the 16th, come back on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd for students. As she said, we have 177 school days. We have to, by statute, have 175. So if we went to 175, we would be here on the 16th and the 20th, not on the 19th, as a federal holiday. I plan to ask the secretary for a waiver. He is getting he either has or is about to have authorization from the state school board to grant waivers. He's had that the past couple of years. It subsided with COVID, all the COVID procedures. He did have it. I'm waiting to hear when that form is, but I plan to apply for this. In addition, Fairfield has an extra day because their boiler, they had water problems because their boiler stopped working and it froze their water pipe one day. So they have an extra day. I plan to ask for that waiver. John, in all of his leadership around professional development, we know our staff has really taken on to our menu of options that we are doing. We would really like to take we actually really looked at, and it hit us about a week ago, that we could look at this next Friday, the 24th, which is an in-service day. But we already have contracts signed with professional development providers, which are about $40,000 in total. So if we did go to school on the 24th, we'd be forfeiting all that money, and it's all grant funds. Not that we'd be losing the grant money because we couldn't spend it because we didn't use it, but then we'd be looking to local budget to cover that. So we have to have we have to have our in-service that day, otherwise we lose that money. We have to pay that money out. We lose that benefit of the PD. We, as you all know, we're doing a lot of work in many different areas. Two to name that are right in my mind right now are our training on restorative justice and restorative practices, along with our Amplify and our Literacy Big Lift, which at some point later this year you will hear good news. I can say that because I'm hearing good news already, more anecdotally than anything else, of how that's going. But our teachers need that training. So it is a contractual item. I don't need an action from you right now that we talked about, not an action, but just kind of a consensus of the board. Because it is a contractual, it says in the contract that it would be 177 teaching days and 9 in-service. What we would do is move 2 more into in-service and go to 175. There are other districts that do this. I know of others that are already doing it with all the snow days. So I'd be glad to answer any questions, take thoughts and pieces from the board.
So I just have a quick question. So
yeah,
am I okay? Good to go? So
go ahead,
with all that you just said, I'm just looking at my calendar here. What day, if this all, yep, we get the okay to do it. Are you thinking that the 16th would be the new date?
If we can get the waiver out of the Agency of Education, then the 16th would be the last day with kids, and then we would have 3 days, which would be great. 2 is really tight. 3 would be awesome. But the board can only, and myself we're only able to judge 2 of the days, not the 3rd day. That has to go to the Secretary of Education.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie.
I'm just looking for a clarification. So you already said this. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, that's okay. I said a lot.
We have 177 days on the calendar.
Yep.
And we're taking hoping to take 2 of those days away, and then the waiver is to take a 3rd day away?
Take a 3rd day away. And what that does is pushes, because I'm going to be real, I know how it's going to run, right? We end school on the 16th. We have another day on the 20th because we're not here on Monday. We'll be lucky to count it because we have to have 50% of the kids here.
Yeah.
If you don't have 50%, you can't count it as a school day. So.
When's graduation?
Graduation is, I don't have that right here in front of me, and I don't want to assume because it's usually always the 2nd Saturday, which would make it the 10th.
I thought it was the 17th.
No.
Okay. Then I know.
Yep.
It's traditionally the 2nd Saturday.
Bill, just for clarification.
Yep.
When you're talking those 2 days, the 2 days that we just talked about, that's teacher days, right?
Yep. Well, they would go from student days to teachers' days.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people understood that.
It's not, we're not lowering the contract days, but we are, we'll be moving from being teacher days to, from student days to teacher days.
Right.
And
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Joanna had a question. I
just-
went right by you. I'm sorry, Joanna.
It's okay. I'm assuming that you can't do the 21st because, again, it's a contractual situation because of conferences.
And the other hard part of that, what we did, that's a really good question. We did look at April the 21st, and here's what happens. And I'm just being real about this, and I think it works really well for the teachers. We say to the teachers, you've got not all of them have this, but most of them do. You've got 2 weeks to get your parent conferences, and a lot of parents like it. Like, I can come and meet with you at night. It's hard on the high school. I've got to give it to the high school because for parents to come in different nights to meet with all the teachers, it'd be a lot easier. But that to be said, there are quite a few people that run their conferences starting the week before on the 10th and the 17th, and they plan on the 21st. And there's probably some plane flights that are scheduled.
Yep.
And so to say to someone that's doing that hard work as an employee, and you did all that work, because they're doing more than that. I can tell you, every teacher who does in-service, that does parent conferences, is doing more than the 7.5 hours. They're doing the hard work. So if they get that day and use it, I think we'd have some upset people about losing plane flights.
Yeah.
Or paying for changes.
Thank you.
It was a great idea that came up, and I was like, oh, I wish I had known, we're inside the bounds of when we can change our dates for PD. And John, the night I called John, he's like, I'm going to work hard in the next 12 hours to figure it out. He couldn't.
I feel.
You didn't fail, we signed
You
the
tried.
contract.
So when,
Thank you.
so when is BFA graduation? Because I've seen it June 17th.
I don't have
Huh?
it, I
Me
don't.
too,
so-
17.
So I'm not gonna say exactly when it is, because I don't have that information in front of me from the school. It traditionally is the second Saturday of the month.
Because my parents already got their tickets for
So
the 17th.
I'm not saying.
No,
I'm not-
I know.
I'm saying I don't know.
Oh,
It's
okay.
right here. I don't have
Okay.
it right here, and so
Okay.
I'm not gonna commit to something.
No, that's fine. I just would like to find out.
Well, call Teresa.
Okay.
She'll have it for you.
Okay.
Or I know it's posted on the BFA Green and Gold too. They've had a whole bunch of
Yeah.
senior dates and all
That's
that.
why, that's.
So
yeah.
go by
Okay.
that.
Yep, I will. Thank
Yeah.
you. Sorry. Personal.
All right, thanks for all that. Any other questions? Okay, moving on, the next item on the agenda is warrants. You have in your packet, attachment 10A. Looking for a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual board members participating remotely. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. There's a second, motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, let's see, Katie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Peter.
He had to leave, Nelda. He lost internet.
Okay, Charles,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Nina,
Yes.
Nilda, yes, votes yes. All right, so we're gonna do the superintendent's report next, please.
Thanks, Nelda. I have to say a lot of my work has been presented tonight. I've had some great times this past week, either with the State Tech student leadership or the BFA leadership, student leadership. A lot of good questions, a lot of good student voice coming out of both groups, wanting to find ways to impact their learning. So it's really great to work with them. And I think that's the best thing I can say right now. I don't think a lot of people know that that's part of the superintendent's job, is to hear from the students. And so I'm lucky that my colleagues as principals see that. And I also want to thank Joan for tonight as well, and hosting us. She does a great job. So thank you, Joan. And Stacy.
Nilda, may I weigh in? I apologize. Our graduation this year is June 17th at 10 o'clock this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, for saving me.
Thank you, Heather. And I didn't mean to put you on the board. I
I'm
was
sorry,
freaking
I
out.
thought we were talking about next year, which hasn't been published yet. My apologies. June 17th, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I was gonna say also that it's the third week, but I didn't want to correct the superintendent in public, you know.
I didn't correct him.
You can correct me anytime you want. Correct me anytime you want.
Correct.
I knew somebody would find it before the meeting ended because it's important enough. So thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Anything else from superintendent's report?
No, unless there's any questions or something people need me to gather for them.
No? Okay, next item is board announcements. Any board announcements? Can somebody back up the camera, please? I need a wider view. Thank you. Perfect. Board announcements?
Charles, Charles has one.
Well, I don't know if this is the place for it. I just sort of generally wanted to give a shout out to the St. Albans City School for their STEAM night last night, which was
a good one, yeah.
I really kind of wanted them to cancel it because I didn't want to go back out in the snow, but I did come along, and it was a very amazing night with, they had projects filling the gym and the cafeteria and down the halls, and students were just super engaged in the whole thing. It was a very well done event.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would like to thank the newly elected board members and offer my support if anybody has any questions or whatever, in case something comes up and you're trying to figure out what the heck you just got yourself into. I would try to help answer questions or direct you to where you can find answers to your questions. I think when we have the new board orientation coming up, we have to cancel it because of the snow. We have it coming up in a couple of weeks. I think you'll get a lot of information there. And I think that's all I have for board announcements. Anyone else? Okay, so I need a motion to go into executive session for negotiations update, please.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, Katie?
Sorry, yes, yes.
Hi. Jack,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
we know Peter's not internet, Charles,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Nina,
Yes.
Nilda votes yes.